welcome. I just get it rolling here. Thank you, Nick. Okay.
That's if someone's got
Gotcha.
memories.
All right, thank you. The wildness of Derby has begun. We have been extremely busy, and I think that is showing today. I've totally expected a few people to already be here because of the emails I received, so they're running late. To start off the morning, let's everyone introduce ourselves. And Steve, please.
Steve Smith, I'm the managing partner of Paristown.
Good morning, I'm Nick Morris, I'm the Safety Security Store and Highlands Commerce Guild board member. I'm Bob Peckin, I represent the Cherokee Triangle Neighborhood Association.
I'm DL Daniel, I'm a business called Selfie Hypnosis, and I run an Airbnb called Highlands Commerce Guild.
Great.
My name is Jim Allen, and ditto what you said.
Thank you.
Good morning, Victor Rowe and the PNC.
Jeff Myers, Independent Realtors, and I'm on. Good morning, I'm Anthony Minstein. I'm the President, Secretary, and Treasurer of the Louisville Federation of Musicians, one of your neighbors on Paristown Road. And I'm here to talk to you about some projects that we are involved in.
Great.
Love to have you participate with us.
Anthony, was it a big power move to get all three of those positions at once?
Not really, I just killed the other two guys.
And good morning, I'm Nancy Chazen. I'm the Executive Director of National Council of Jews from the Louisville. We own and operate the neighborhood shop in Mid-City Mall. And also, we were also, thank you, a board member with Highlands Commerce Guild.
And I'm Aaron Givhan, and also with the board of the Highlands Commerce Guild. A lot has been going on, and I think the person here with the longest struggle is Steve Smith. I have met Steve off and on over the years, and you've been great as coming as a guest speaker on your other projects. You mentioned Paristown, and that was one of your truly successful and highly enjoyable developments. Through great trial and tribulation, and I guess that's what happens if you have patience, you get trial and tribulation. But he now is in control and has the opportunity to lay out a very choice piece of real estate in Louisville, Kentucky. And that's what currently they're calling the old urban center, which used to be the Baptist Highlands East Hospital, which has great history and challenges all in one. So Steve, why don't you come up and give us a little flavor of where you're headed?
Well, thank you for your time today. I'm more commonly known as the village idiot of Paristown some days. So I'm going to try to take you through what's been 14 years of my life a little bit today, and I promise I'll get this done in 20 minutes. But is that good? Oh, there you go. Okay, I see. It's like being in jail. I mean,
But we have a card to get out.
okay, all right, good. So, I'm going to try to answer some questions today because there's lots of questions about the Urban County Government Center, a lot of emotion. And, it is an historic piece of property. It doesn't have really the greatest history associated. It was a country hospital built for rich white folks, and it wasn't was segregated up until 1965. So the first Black lady is actually a friend of my wife's, and she was the first nursing student in 1965. So we looked at the history, we looked at the buildings, we looked at the architecture, and what the common, I took 7 architects through the structures, and the common theme was nobody will ever want to live here. And then we took the engineers and did about a 6-month study, and the buildings are actually falling down. I mean, the basement is been full of water for several years. It is an environmental disaster. The current budget to clean up the site from an environmental standpoint and remediation is about $4.5 million. So if you think of a hospital built in 1920 and little known effects of mercury, lead, and radiation, there's 1 or 2 rooms that will actually have to be bagged up and put in a salt mine in Utah, right? So it's been so the first question is, what are you going to do with the place, Steve? And the answer is, we're going to scrape it. It's just not possible to save it. And the other question that always comes up is, why did the first 2 people fail? And they failed because their math problem didn't work. And if anybody in here is running a business or in the construction business or real estate or development business, you got to put a certain amount of density to overcome the $5 million in cleanup and remediation problems. So, the land was appraised at a little over $5 million. And so, it's be careful what you ask for sometimes, right? But we, I'm going to take you, for some of you, through phase 1, what we affectionately call Lower Paristown. And I'll also send this file over to you guys so you can post on. I don't know if you've got a website, but everybody can take a look at it. So, this whole thing started 14 years ago when I came to Louisville Stoneware and in partnership with Christy Brown, and we're trying to figure out a way to save this historic company. It's actually founded in 1815 on the banks of the Ohio River. And, the only way we could do that was really to turn the place into a destination location. We considered it a cultural arts and entertainment district. We've got an outdoor garden called Christie's Garden right next to Paristown Hall. And, we really wanted to attract younger people and younger folks. So in partnership with Kentucky Performing Arts, we built this building for them and leased it back to them for a long period of time. And this has been open and closed and opened again. But it's scheduled to do about 100 shows a year. A little promotion, Jake Owen is Rockin' Derby Eve, which is one of the top country artists in the country. And so we're gonna have a big event. If you come to Paristown, if you've been to the garden show or the flea markets or any of that, we hope you'll come down over the next couple of weeks and see all the excitement going on down there. So this was our anchor. And this really started the beginning and allowed us to renovate the historic Stoneware Art Factory complex, which is a combination of 2 buildings. We moved the cafe across the street. The building on the left, the 4-story building, is the and I will say I am a preservationist at heart, but some buildings just can't be saved. So the building on the left was the old Louisville Leather Company, built circa 1870. And Louisville was the #1 exporter of oak tan leather goods, all the way up, from about post-Civil War all the way up into the early 1900s with the invention of the automobile. So bridles and horse saddles and all that stuff were a big, the Germans brought that trade to America. And then the building on the right was the Klotz candy factories. It's circa 1920. And, Louisville was also a mecca for making candy in the early 1900s. And the candy, the turtle, I don't know if everybody knows that, they claim that they invented that in this building. So these buildings went through about a $12 million federal historic tax credit renovation, and became the home place for Stoneware, which has been in this building since 1972. But we've got architects, Schmidt Architects on the 2nd floor, and the 4-story building's all leased up. So we've been very fortunate. In the cafe, we've added another 50, 60 jobs at the cafe on an annual basis. So it's been a great addition. This is the old cafe building, which will open this July. It's about a $3.5 million project called the Village Market. It's really an incubator for, we've got several people coming out of food trucks that are going to get a permanent stall. If you think of a airport, food court, it's got 5 different restaurant concepts and a bar. It's seamlessly connected. You can see how open it is from an air, this is facing as you come into Paristown underneath the railroad bridge. And then this is seamlessly integrates with Christie's Garden, which is to the left of this building. So, all these will make Paristown hopefully more of a destination for food at night. We really struggle in the evenings in getting people to come down. So the cafe, Carly Johnson's playing on Saturday nights at the cafe. If you like a little smooth jazz, we hope you'll come down for dinner in the evenings and bring your friends. It's a beautiful spot. So, let's talk about the Urban County Government Center. When we have been very patient, I will say, and we knew instantly when the other two proposals were put together that their math problem wouldn't work. So we kind of sat back and waited, and then we stomped our feet. But we will have assembled approximately 18 acres of downtown Louisville, and the total project will be right at 225 million with everything complete. So it's a unique opportunity to, the houses in the neighborhood were restored in the early 70s, and they're all in great shape. But, all this industrial site it's been, as you all know, it's been very challenging. So we were fortunate that we, were buying land and we're able to pull all this together. So, I'm actually moving into one of the houses in the neighborhood. I love living down there and working down there every day. And, one of the things that I say to everybody that comes to these meetings is, the people who are going to live in the apartments and the people who work there and the people who want to live there, we all want the same thing. We want a clean, safe neighborhood. We want trees to sit under. We want, nice places to walk our dogs. I mean, we all want the same kind of life, right? And so, we've done a lot of research with our landscape developers. There's about 45 mature trees on the site. Most of them are at end of life. You don't plant 80-foot oak trees underneath power lines because LG&E comes and butchers them every year. And so, we've really got an opportunity to take a look at the whole site and create what we believe is a beautiful, location. And so, these are some of the actions that we consider to achieve the goal. We're looking at, we've got our little security vehicle here. One of the things we're talking to the neighbors about is providing neighborhood-wide security at night. Again, our apartment residents want that. And so, that's a cost of about $120,000 a year. And the way we're funding that is all the businesses and all the apartments and all the houses will pay into a fund, our not-for-profit. And we keep the neighborhood clean. And that's what we do all our fundraisers for and all the events. So this is a site-wide location, up in the upper right-hand corner. Highland Community Ministries is a very important part of our neighborhood and do great things for lots of folks. So we were fortunate to work with their board, and I'm really excited about this piece of the puzzle. It's a 73 unit senior living facility that also has you can't say daycare anymore, you got to say child development center on the first floor. And this is all kind of connected with an intergenerational playground. So the senior center will be low income, and 25%, current plan is 25% of the child development care spots. Troy Burton yells at me every time I say that word. Child development care spots will be allocated in partnership with the Scholar House. So, we love Troy. He is probably one of the most effective nonprofit administrators I've ever met, and they do a great job. And of course, this is all supported by all the churches in the Highlands area. And so the plan for that is we're going to help them build all that. We have to be their partner from the feds for 15 years, and then we're going to give them the building back, which is almost an $18 million gift to the neighborhood. The other partner in this project was, Bates Community Development Center. Our friends in Smoketown are right across the creek, and Smoketown's had a lot of challenges. It's coming back. We partnered with Pastor Bruce Williams. That church has 4,000 members to it, and we made them an equity partner in our deal. So they own a certain percentage of all of Paristown. And our hope for that is that it will provide them a 6-figure reoccurring revenue stream once everything's up and running. They have an annual budget at the Bates CDC of about $100,000 a year, and we're hoping that their share in Paristown will provide them $100,000 a year in revenues. Yes, sir.
Steve, I'm not familiar with all the areas. Can you show me where the Smoketown is on the map?
Yeah, so Smoketown starts right here. So there's Beargrass Creek. Smoketown runs from Broadway to Kentucky to the interstate. And it's a huge swath of land that goes all the way to, if you look, Logan Street Market, all that's part of Smoketown.
Okay, thank you.
So
Where's the Altenheim on that map?
the Altenheim is right here. And we're talking to them about how we share this driveway and this intergenerational playground would be in partnership also possibly with the Altenheim. So, this whole swath of land is a great asset to the community. The other thing that we wanted to do, and I'll just walk up camera, but it's important, is everybody talks about, well, where's the retail? Where's the retail? Where's the retail? The retail is right here, right? I mean, when I grew up as a kid, I didn't grow up with any money, but one time, I think when I was 10, I got to go to Hassenauer's for dinner, right? And so the idea is, how do we affect the revitalization of Barrett Avenue and the revitalization of all the storefronts? You see, the come back in and see funds, and you're seeing Swan Street has been really nicely coming back. We've got an old coal plant down there that's a real problem from an environmental standpoint. But there's about 120 houses in the neighborhood, and then you can see the orange pieces are kind of, you follow the orange around. We brought back the old Swan Street Antique Market with the Florida Flea Market, and so that's all that property will be part of this project. So this is the neighborhood care campus for the Highland Community Ministries, which we're very excited about. And let me say one thing, that wouldn't happen unless we were partners. That project from a federal, using low-income federal tax credits would not attract a builder, because 72 units, you just can't make the math work. But as we do it as part of the entire project, then we can make the math work. So it's really a sweet opportunity to solve some problems for Highland Community Ministries, or not some problems, solve some needs and create some opportunity there. So if you've been down there, there is a 2-acre parking lot on Vine Street that has been sitting there. I think they wiped the houses in the 1940s that were on there. And there was been one big concern in the neighborhood is what was going to happen to the parking lot. And our goal is to sell, we're going to subdivide that up into 20 lots that are going to be cottages. They're 1,700 and 2,000 square feet. Their estimated value is in the $400,000 to $500,000 range. And they're going to have common area maintenance. You can see this is just beautiful. It's also centered by a community garden asset there. And then also kind of a public meeting house that, groups like this for 60 people could use. And so this is all going to go on the 2 acres. So we're naming the apartments Paristown Heights, and a current plan where we've had a couple meetings. There's a design charrette coming up in May. That's a public notice. Your board should be getting notice of that. And so the current plan is 424 units. There's, I'm sorry, I can't read. So there's a dog park. We're looking at a doggy daycare. it's interesting, about 30 to 40% of apartment dwellers have a pet. And so, like I said earlier, they all want the same thing. You need a place to walk your dog or your cat, or I don't know if you walk your cat, but, and then the steam plant is really the one historic building that we're going to save. The old smokestack is awesome. It's an interesting building. It's built like a bomb shelter, and there's a 33-foot deep basement, which we're probably going to put storage for the apartments in. And but that all the amenity packages are designed so that the neighbors can join. So you can join the pool, you can join the gym. We're going to look at a FedEx office in there, cafe, all those types of things, and available to the public. And so the whole thing is self-parked with structured parking, and it's 1.5 units per bedroom, which exceeds Metro Council's requirements. There is a big concern, both on our part and everybody else's part. The cottages that I showed you are all self-parked. We're always concerned about eating up the parking in the neighborhood, because a lot of people don't have garages. So this is kind of a plan view. You can see the cottages on the bottom. Highland Community Ministries is a little bit off the charts up there. And again, this is still subject. There's on the front there to the left is a site for 150,000 square foot office building, and then a boutique hotel with condos. And that will also have 2 layers of parking underneath of it as well. So, structured parking right now is about $20,000 a space. If you build a parking garage, not cheap. And, but it's necessary in this plan. And then you can see the steam plant on the bottom, and the, the kind of the open area that connects all the pieces. We'll kind of go through this, and it looks something like this, right? So you can see the cottages off to the right, and this great public plaza where you can have, we have several flea markets. Lower Paristown is really is where we do most of our activity and make most of the noise. Yes, sir.
What street is it that we're looking at here?
That's Vine Street.
Vine Street.
Yeah. So I don't know where your houses are in Brent. Are you on that side of Brent?
Yeah, I'm over at the back side of Vine.
On the back side of Vine, yeah.
Behind the coach lamp.
Behind the coach lamp. Okay, yeah, right. So that's Vine Street, and then the cottages are off to the right, and you can see the steam plant. And so that's really.
So you're not gonna save any of those big trees that are on that property?
We're going to save as many as we can, but most of them are dying or dead. And so the current plan has almost 200 new trees, and which there's 45 trees of value on some value on the site. And but most of them, John Carmen is our landscape engineer and civil. So we've had an arborist come down and look at all the trees, and unfortunately, most of them are dying. Yes, sir.
Steve, was there any, I'm sure there was impact on low-income housing or affordable housing?
Well, there's nobody living on this site, right? We have seen, and that is Pastor Bruce's main concern is Smoketown grows, and there is a discussion in the neighborhood about property values going up. I mean, property values have probably gone up 15, 20, 30% over the past 3 or 4 years with all the development we've currently done. And I consider property values to continue to go up. We've expressed those concerns to Metro Council. It's not something I can control. They did do a homestead exemption for West Louisville, but that just happened. Apparently that will never happen again. And, Smoketown did not get to participate in that homestead exemption. There's an exemption once you reach, I think it's 65, that you can apply for, a limit on your tax increases. But, it is a challenge. I mean, we're not here to displace anybody, but we have to create a certain level of volume. If we don't get a certain level of apartments and density on the site, we will fail as well. And then I've been told by the city, it'll be auctioned off. Part of it's commercial. You know, we will have the design charrette next month. And then we'll have to go through Metro Council for the rezoning and everything else. But, you know, this math problem right now is very tight. And, you know, it's all about money, right? It's all about creating return on investment to the shareholders. And so our shareholders are 14 people, all from Louisville. Our plan is to keep the property. I mean, we're not merchant builders. We're not here to, you know, flip and sell. And, you know, we want our kids to come back here. So, you know, it's a big project though. Yes, sir.
Steve, there's been some talk of the library currently located at Mid-City Mall, maybe seeking a new location.
You know, we had some discussions with them several years ago, and I've been told that there's not the money to do that. So, you know, my understanding is it's staying right where it is, but that conversation is 3 years old. I haven't had an updated conversation with them since then.
That's what we really need, is the library over there and not all these houses. Personally, that's what I feel about it.
You know, ma'am, everybody has their own opinion. So, yes, sir.
I think you got my question.
Okay.
We'll come back.
All right.
Well, we can always, if you think of something, write it down.
Oh, I'm sorry. General timeline for phase 1.
If we're successful, we will break ground in January, start the remediation and demolition of the buildings. That'll probably take 3 to 4 months. You know, you have to follow all the federal rules. And, you know, our goal is we'll stand up the cottages, the apartments, and the partnership with Highland Community Ministries all at the same time. So, you know, there is one thing I'd like to address and that is, you know, with every new development, there is a community, you know, there's an agreement with Metro Council. And so, you know, we will leave well over $20 million, if not better than that, back to the community with our project. So it's, you know, $20 million out of $225 million is a big deal. All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I cannot thank you enough
No,
for being here.
no, because please come down to Paristown.
I have followed this particular project because I used to work there a long time ago. In my government days, we were actually I was in government during the time of the acquisition of that facility and transition for the county and the police to use that facility. During that time period, they also had the mortuary there, and the issues of mold affected us, the issues of access and community. I mean, we were just sort of plopped right down in the middle of a unique situation. I just want to give Steve kudos because of the different projects and the people who made a lot of commitments and they never followed through. And I was present when elected officials were berated, not by Steve, by other developers, and then they wouldn't perform. So there is no perfection in this, and the historical aspects sadden me that the building deteriorated to where it did. But I just want you to know, as far as my personal opinion, I just honor anybody this is an uphill battle.
Right.
And I don't know if you followed Paristown's development, but that's where I became more aware of you. And you see what it is. I enjoy going over in that area. And I just feel that success of past developments is a great foundation for where you're trying to get into it. And using local people, because we along Bardstown Road, we've already had government involvement selling a building, get it flipped. It was going to be a storage facility. And thanks goodness now it's the Bellevue, which is a wonderful restored facility. So community involvement, local people involvement. I know there's going to be a lot of headaches, but I just appreciate you and being willing to spend some time with us. In trying to move forward quickly, I think this is the first president, secretary, and treasurer I've ever met. Anthony Monstein.
Well, I hope I'm not the last.
No, but he is representing the Louisville Federation of Musicians. They have some exciting projects that they're doing in trying to expedite to getting to him. I'll give you information from Cassie and Lieutenant King after he's finished. So please come up and let us know what you're up to.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for allowing me to talk with you today. I want to talk about two different things that we're doing. And Steve, I have something that I think we can do pull a win-win together. We are one of your neighbors. We live, if you will, on Bardstown Road, 1436. Our next door neighbor is Murphy's Camera. On the other side is St. James. I always get those two confused. What's the difference? If you look at our building, we have we rent out a front space on Bardstown Road. The tenant today is Cardinal Records, and we have another space we rent out to a lady who does some kind of health or healing kind of stuff, acupuncture, I think. And in the back is a large space, which is our rehearsal hall. That's where musicians, members of our union, can use that space to rehearse their bands or practice, and we have meetings back there and so forth. But there's a large wall that faces St. James and Bardstown Road. And I just became president, secretary, treasurer in January. And I'm looking at that wall thinking, as I travel around the United States, which I do a great deal as a musician, the thing that really intrigues me about many of the cities I go to are the murals that you see everywhere. You're walking down the street and there's a mural extolling some part of their history or some part of culture or just some kind of event that transpired. And I see the wall on that rehearsal space and I just go, what a great place for a mural. And so, one of our members has a daughter who's a graphic artist. And I said, give me some ideas. What would you do with that wall? She goes, well, what are you thinking? Well, it's got to have music in it of some kind. And I'd really like to have the Louisville skyline in it. So I'd like to have some kind of Louisville emphasis with that musical emphasis. And she put together 6 designs. Our membership voted, we came up with 3. I definitely have a favorite in that design, and which shows different musicians playing different instruments with a skyline behind it. My problem is I'm a small union. Musicians, as you can probably well appreciate, most of our membership are not full-time musicians. They're professional musicians, but they have to supplement their income with other jobs. We are not wealthy local. My wife kids and says, I hope I'm not going to find you in a cornerstone of a building someday. And I'm like, no, we don't have the pensions that the Teamsters do, so you don't have to worry, dear. So one of the things I'm looking for is community partnership, community involvement, and financial support, to be honest, for painting our mural, because this is going to benefit all of us. So I created a Kickstarter project. You can find that project by typing in Highlands Mural and Beautification. And I'm trying to solicit funding from the community. Did we agree on St. James? St. James parishioners have contributed. I've also talked to some of the other community groups, and some have promised to contribute. And I'm hoping I can get some of you folks to help contribute and some of your members to contribute to a mural that's going to benefit all of us, to something that's going to, I think, I hope, I pray, is going to add a great deal of culture and art to our public streets, which I think is just a great thing. Being a professional musician and an artist myself, the more that we present art, the more that we present culture, just improves our life for all of us. So it's a Kickstarter project. Highlands Mural Beautification. And Aaron, I'm going to send you an email with all my contact information and those links. If you could distribute that to membership so everyone knows.
Well, we have already started.
Oh, good. Okay.
And you were included the details of the announcement of this meeting has it, but we will pull it out and make it a separate acknowledgement.
Terrific. Thank you. I appreciate that. And the clock is ticking. I think the Kickstarter project ends May 10th. I was hoping to get the mural up in May for a couple of reasons. We moved our membership annual meeting to May. Normally we have it in January, and with COVID, I wanted to move it to a time that we could be outdoors. And it's also the 125th year of our union. We were established 125 years ago. So having a party behind our rehearsal space for our membership in a space that has the mural. And I've also put in some extra funding because I want to fix up our front yard. We have a flower box that I think is kind of ugly looking and overgrown, and I want to fix all of that up. Again, so that we are a good neighbor in the Highlands, and that we are, that we do the most that we can to improve our physical space. So that's the first thing I want to talk to you about. The second thing I want to talk to you about is an opportunity. And this is an opportunity that I know some of you have probably taken advantage of in the past. We work with Metro Louisville Council. They give us grant funding every year. It's a not insignificant sum. It's $53,000 as of last year. And that fund is to be used for one thing, and that is to pay for live music in the community. And what that means is you're a neighborhood organization. You're going to have a party out in a park. You're going to have Bardstown Aglow. You'd like to have music. We can provide professional musicians to play whatever style of music you're asking for. You want a bluegrass band? We got bluegrass band. You want a blues band? We got blues bands. You want a jazz band? We got jazz bands. In fact, I'm a jazz musician myself. And what we are able to do is work with a community group who wants to put on some kind of event. The caveats to that is it has to be free, open to the public, and it is subject to the approval of the council member for that district or whoever is over that district. And Steve, that's why I was thinking of you. In fact, my brother-in-law runs the thrift shop across from the Come Back In. And I've talked with him, David Levine, and I've talked with him about, hey, maybe we can get some music down in the Paristown area just as a way to bring people down. And I want to put my musicians to work. That is my number one job, is put musicians to work. If I can put musicians to work and we can provide entertainment and music for your community events, that's a win-win. And that's why I was thinking about you. Are there any questions? Anything I can help you all with?
What's the proposed price on the mural?
The mural and the beautification is at $2,800. Now, the Kickstarter is asking for more than that because there's a bunch of Kickstarter fees I have to pay. So I think the total cost on Kickstarter is like $3,300. I'm a little over $600 at this point. Yes, sir.
As I understand it, if an organization wants to apply for your offering of music, there's a form, I believe, that needs to be filled out. Is that something we get from musicians or from?
Yes. There's actually two things that you need. Great question. The first is that form. The second is a letter. And it's a letter saying why you want, and it's a letter that's really going to the council saying, here's why we want this entertainment. Here's what we're going to use it for. What I tell every neighborhood organization, I will help you with this. In some cases, I'll write the letter for you. I just did this for a sponsor last week because I want to put musicians to work. This fund, we do not tap into this fund as much as we should as a city and as musicians. And I want to change that this year. I've been a musician for 50 years. I've been in 5 different locals across the country. Never have I been at a local where there is funding for music jobs. I always have to go out and beat the streets, find a club owner, and try and get funding for performance myself. So this is a tremendous benefit that all of us are not taking as much advantage of as we could. Other questions? Yes. We have close to 300 members now. All of the members of the Louisville Orchestra are a union. The other members are all freelance musicians, and they represent many, if not, I won't say all, but most of the professional musicians that you see around town, the people who are playing music very well, are in our local. Other question? Yes, sir.
You could do chamber music if you had a fundraising dinner.
Absolutely. In fact, I lead a chamber trio, a chamber woodwind trio. We have another, this is called a CMP, or Community Music Partnership. We have a CMP gig coming up in 3 weeks to play woodwind, contemporary woodwind chamber music. So we can do a band of pretty much any size. It's just the more musicians, the more funding it requires. And the funding is allocated by council district. So if a district runs out of money, it's theoretically possible to borrow money from another district, but we try not to use it all in one go. Other questions? Okay, and Steve, Aaron, you have my email address.
Yes, sir.
prez@louisvillemusicians.org. Any questions?
I think you need to change your email address to include your advertising.
Prez. The problem with that is it's just too darn long. It won't fit in all that space they give me. Questions, or if you want to dive deeper, please send me an email. I'll get on the phone with you. We'll talk about what we can do, how we can do it, and how we can make your community event a success. All right.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm sorry I have to run. With those 3 jobs, I'm also doing the work of 3 people.
Thank you again. Yes, sir. I cannot thank you both, Steve and Anthony, for coming and helping us out today. In catching up a little bit more back to the original format, Lieutenant King has repeatedly asked you all to lock your cars. This is a phenomenon that I can't, it goes over my head. The number of cars that are being taken are unlocked. They're not even fooling with trying to break in a car. All they got to do is teams of 4 run down the street, flip handles, and as soon as the car is open, they go at it. The majority, like 90%, are unlocked cars. The majority of the thefts, unlocked cars. And again, putting things on your dash, on your seat, showing everybody your purse as you get out, open the trunk and throw it in the back. It's gone. So please, he just says he doesn't even understand it. But it's not only the Highlands, it is community-wide. Significant number of cars that are stolen, like 90% are unlocked. Cassie, tomorrow we're having a meeting with the bars and restaurants in follow-up to what we call the best case scenarios. It's a manual that follows protocols from other communities in dealing with safety, control of the entrances of your businesses, and the flow of working with the police department. Through the meetings we have had, communication has greatly improved. Bars, especially the 4 o'clock crowd, they are communicating. If they have a troublemaker or someone of interest, they're starting to let the other bars know that this individual is causing trouble or suspicious activities. The phenomenon has been a total increase of unknown people coming into the bars, and they're drug dealers. So there's no pre-warning. They've never been seen up and down this particular strip. but they're new, not new to the industry, but they're new to the Strip. And they're working as teams. And this infiltration is easier because no one knows who they are. So the communication aspects have helped. And working with Lieutenant King. There are trainings that Cassie and Lieutenant King are making available to help the industry. And tomorrow will be the first draft for the general population to look at. A subset, which the Highlands Commerce Guild has participated in, was meeting with a smaller group of people, and they looked at about 6 or 7 different best practices manuals that have been developed across the states. The one that seemed very adaptable is from Boston. And again, a water town with similar demographics in the sense of what people like about a community and why they come to that community. Boston and Louisville have a lot of similarities. So I look forward to seeing that. Even though I worked on it, this will be the first time I see the draft in a more final form. So that's tomorrow. It's going to be at O'Shea's at 2 o'clock. And it's open to the public, just in case you happen to be there. The other thing is that the Guild has involved in, yesterday, I hope that you tuned into WDRB, but there was a mayoral forum. And there were 12 or 13 other business associations. LIBA was the leader of the pack, but we all joined in. And I felt we had over 260 just guests come in and listen to the different programs being suggested to address the problems of the community. Small business questions were asked, but they deal very similar to what's going on down Bardstown Road. And it's how do they view public safety? How do they view different tax bases? How are they looking at the budget for future use? And to hear the different candidates speak, it showed some had great depth and some were very good in specific areas, but the broad spectrum of the questions I thought showed that some of the candidates thought beyond their reason to run. And again, having passion to run for office is great, but we in this community at this time, we're facing a lot of issues, and that being on time, shocker. There were a couple of them that were not on time, and you would think 260 plus people, maybe that would be something to consider in looking at, what you're going to do. But it was recorded, correct? WDRB, if you all want to take time to review it, I thought it was a good panel, and it was a great flow. And I felt very proud that the Guild participated in that. And thanks to Amy and Nick, they were at every meeting I was at, plus a few. They even showed up when I got tied up a few times. But we were, I believe, the highest presence of any of the associations. So I felt good about our involvement with that. Another exciting thing coming up in the near future is called the Cherokee Triangle 50th Anniversary Art Fair. Yes. Is there anything that you would like to toss out?
Well, thank you for bringing that up. We're very excited about this year's fair. Again, we have over 200 jury artists that will be participating. The fair is going to run Saturday and Sunday, and 6. And Saturday night, after the artists close their booth, there will be a bit of a street party with live music. Festival, whatever. Aaron is showing there for me the poster we put together. I actually brought some extra copies, so if anybody would like to take one with them, they're signed by the artist. If it helps, I'll sign it too after that meeting. Maybe get Aaron to sign it too. We appreciate all the support, Aaron, we've had from the area businesses in terms of helping us to promote it. And it's been a 2-year absence, so like a lot of things coming out of COVID. We're very optimistic that people are going to be excited to show up, and we hope we have acceptable beautiful weather. And with that being said, should be a great event.
Should be, it will be.
Thank you.
No, I think the first art fair I worked was 1982. I think I'm right on that. And I believe, other than 1 year I was out of town, I've worked every year it was around.
Okay.
And I am returning to the association booth. Yeah. So as a lifetime member, I'm so glad that the community is rallying, and I look forward to that. I have a feeling it's going to rain on me just for the heck of it, because that's about fondest memories of being poured on like a rat 1 year. It was just like, oh God. But the people came out.
Yeah.
Bring your rain suit. Be prepared. Great. What about now? We still have a drawing for this Woodford Preserve. It is signed by the artist who did their label as this is still the master still on that. And I'm excited about that. And I believe Nick is working on the drawing.
Yes. We'll need a drawer. I listed everyone's name here and put a corresponding number next to it, and whomever Aaron draws out. will be
I
the
want to
winner.
win this so bad. If I put my name out, it's like, make Jeff do it.
All right.
11.
Have to draw again. Poor Anthony. Hey.
5.
Number 5 is Amy.
All right. Amy's having a dirty party. We're all coming. Yay, good job. Now, one thing before we roll out of here, what about shameless promotions? Now, Nancy, surely there's a sale coming, a special at the bank.
There's a big thing at the Narrow Shop in May. Everything's going to be 50% off. We are just filled every little store space we have is filled with donations. We've got suspended taking donations for the month just to try to get more stuff out into the floor, but 50 off men's with children's furniture, collectibles, you name it, it's there. So thank you for that.
Anything going on with the bank? Thanks. No. With an S. Specials, promotions, I mean, toasters, come on, something, guys, help us out here. Just ask it. Special events coming up, special interest rates, business programs. Well, I mean, you get me on some coffee, my brain's going down the lane of refinance or.
Okay, I'll be happy to give a 10% discount to anybody that comes from this room to my business this month. For the whole month of May. That's hypnosis. If you need, have any hypnosis done, tell me that you were here. Well, I recognize me. I'll give you a 10% discount.
And since we're on the shameless side of promotion, how does your profession benefit you? Because they don't embrace or understand this stuff.
Well, hypnosis can change the way you direct your life. You look at the problems that are blocking your success and happiness, and we rule those down and make it disappear by the power of your own inner mind. And show people how to use that power.
Aaron, I'll go ahead and jump in and say, good morning, everyone. I'm Karen Finland of our community credit union. And our doors are open. We're lending, we're taking deposits, and we welcome you as a member. All it takes is $5 to open a savings account.
Any toasters over there?
I'm sure we can find one.
Just messing with you guys. Well, no, again, in the local areas, there's been a lot of slowly getting back to more like real business. I'm so thankful for you all coming today. Please take an opportunity to say hello. Please take some Kizitos products to make your day better. And there's still hot coffee, freshly made. And we'll have to walk Amy out so somebody's going to try to get a bottle. Thank you all for being. Thank you very much.
Cindy?